During my time filmmaking, I've fallen in love with the nostalgic film look. For years, I've tried to search the web to find that one product that would magically turn my footage into film. I spent hundreds of dollars on LUTs and plugins that all never seemed to work. The LUTs always seem to magically work for the person selling their product, but never for me. This is because there's so much more to the film look than just a LUT or a plugin, but no one seemed to want to share the secret. So today, I'm going to share my process on creating the film look. The first thing I'm going to talk about is camera settings, more specifically white balance. For my picture profile, just anything flat works. I shoot in S-Log3, it's not that important. What I want to talk about more is white balance. So go to your white balance settings, and usually it'll be on auto white balance. You're going to want to change that. And what I like to have it to is C temp and filter. And so I like to do this because I can change the Kelvin. What I usually like to do is bump it up. You can't see here, but by bumping it up, it makes your image more warmer and gives that more film look. I'll also change the tint to more of a green-orange tint. So another thing that I use to get that kind of film look is a Promist filter by Tiffin. I'm not sponsored. This is just a great product. I'll have a link down below if you want to go check it out. But this is a great product, and what it does is basically blooms and softens your highlights. So here's an example here. You can see those car headlights. They're kind of glowing. Here's another example here. You can see the light reflecting off of the jacket is very soft and bloomed. In this image, there's no light other than the sky, but you could see how soft the image gets with the filter on. Lighting and time of day is crucial for any of your shots. If you're going to be shooting outside, there's 2 times that I recommend, and that's either sunrise or sunset. I actually went and shot this at sunrise. By doing this, I avoided all the harsh lighting, and I was able to expose correctly. If you're not shooting outside, I'd recommend lighting up your scene with soft lighting. Another very important aspect of getting that film look is exposure. For the longest time, I thought to correctly expose for an image meant that everything in the scene is lit up properly. That is just simply not true. Don't get trapped into thinking that every part of your image has to be exposed correctly. For example, with this shot, everything around me is super underexposed. Even me as the subject was underexposed in the image, but look how it turned out. So while exposing your image, don't stick to the rules and be creative. Once I film my clips, I start my post-production in Adobe Premiere Pro. I'll then begin to sequence my clips how I want them. So I have them edited here and kind of sequenced. So once this is done, we're gonna take it into DaVinci Resolve. You don't have to have the paid version like I do. You could also get away with the free version. So what I'm gonna do is go to File here, Export, and then I'm gonna go to Export as Final Cut Pro XML. And so I'm just gonna name this. And this is an XML file just because it will import our timeline so we don't have to cut this back up into DaVinci. So I'm going to hop into DaVinci and create a new project. Once I have the project created here, I'm going to go over to this edit section, and then I'm going to click File up here, and then I'm going to click Import, and then Import Timeline. I'm going to want to find my timeline in whatever folder I saved it to. I'm going to open it, make sure everything is looking good. And I'm just going to rename the timeline name and click OK. So now that my timeline has been imported into DaVinci, you could just play it through and see that your clips are already chopped according to how you did them in Premiere. So now what I'm going to do is click on this color wheel over here, and I have the clips chopped here. So in the still section in gallery, I'm going to right click and click import. So this comes into play here. This is called Cineprint 16 film emulation. This is a node tree that you can kind of buy. It's kind of like a plugin for DaVinci. I highly recommend getting this. If you're thinking about buying anything from this video, I would highly recommend you get this. This is totally worth it. I've been through so many different emulation plugins, LUTs, and everything, and I haven't found one as good as this. I'm not sponsored. This is just a great product. It's by Tom Boyles, and I'll put the link in the description. He's a cinematographer, really cool stuff, and he's created this node tree that's really good. So I'm going to import it here, and then I'm going to click on my clip and then just drag it over here. When adding Cineprint to your footage, if you have the free version, I believe it will not have some of these kind of nodes here, and so you're gonna have to just delete some of them or just undo some of them till you get that kind of watermark to go away from the screen. So what I'm going to start out by doing is going to CST here, and I'm going to go to output color space, and then I'm going to find my camera settings. So I have Sony S-Gamut 3 Cine, that's what I was using, and then my output gamma was S-Log3, so I'm just going to go and find that and then click on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down here and click print film, and then I'm going to turn off Cinon. This is looking good already, and then I'm going to click warmer, and so it looks good. But I don't really want this blue kind of look to my footage. I want more of that sunrise kind of golden hour kind of look. So what I'm going to do is go to cam white balance here, and then I'm just going to add a little more orange to it, and then I'm going to turn down the blues just a bit. I'm going to go to cam exposure here, and then I'm going to go to this offset wheel and then just scroll this down. You can scroll it up and down to change the exposure. So I'm going to move that down. Then what I like to do over here is go down to grade PRI, and then with this offset wheel you could kind of add a tint to it. So if you wanted a different color kind of tint, you can move to that. I want this kind of warmer look, so I'm going to add a little bit of a tint towards that way. And so as you can see, it's a little too much like saturation. So what I'm going to do is go down to the grade saturation right here and just turn this down a little bit, not too much. And then you could also mess around with the post contrast. Sometimes I like to turn that down as well. And so you get this look right here. That looks great already. So we're going to move on to our second clip here. An easy way to get this color grade here to here is you're going to want to click on your mouse wheel. So you're going to want to click on your footage that you want it replicated to, and then you're going to click on your mouse wheel on the selection you've already color graded, and it will just copy it over right away. So as you could tell here, it looks really orange. We're going to go to grade PRI, and then we're just going to reposition that. And so that looks pretty good already. I'm going to add a little more exposure though, and that looks great personally. What I also like to do sometimes is go over to this grain, and then you could add a little more grain to sell that look. I like to do it between 0.5 and 0.6. So that looks great. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy it here. This looks good, but we're going to change some of the exposure. So I'm going to go to exposure and then increase the exposure, and as you could tell, it's a little green there too. I still want to keep that consistent kind of golden look, and so I'm going to go to grade, and then I'm going to change that. I'm going to add maybe a little more, and then I will go to the saturation here, and then I will just turn that down a little bit more. And so that looks great. So once I have these done, I'm going to put them back into Premiere and do a little more with them. So I'm going to click on this rocket ship here, and then I'm just going to click the file name, location, and then save it there. Make sure all your settings look good. Then you're going to click add to render queue, and then just click render all. All right, so now that your footage is imported, you're just going to want to put it over your footage here. You can delete the bottom layer. And so the first thing that I like to do is go to sequence settings, and then I like to change this ratio. So I'll go to the frame size, and then I will put this as 2880. And so that'll change it to a 4:3. This is for my 4K. I shot in 4K. So these are the kind of frame size for that. You might have a different frame size. Just make sure you get 4:3. And so that will do that kind of square thing. And so what I like to do is go to black video. I will just add a black video on top of this here, and then I will click it, click effects, and then I will click this circle. Then I will just kind of outline a circle here, and then I will click invert. I will add some feather to it, and then I will just kind of expand that mask just a little bit. Make sure it's kind of even on all sides, and then I will go to opacity and just kind of turn this down a bit. So once you have that, you can do a little more. What I like to do is just import this kind of overlay matte here. This one is actually from the matte pack from TInyTapes. This one I really like. It has lots of detail with these kind of dirty looking kind of layers here. But if you don't want to go and buy that, I have a link in the description as well if you want to use that. You could do the same thing with just a black video here. Highlight that over, and then you could just kind of mask out whatever shape you kind of want here. We'll do something really quickly. It's obviously not going to look that good. It's not lined up, but I'm just showing this to you guys just in case you don't want to go and buy that. So just something like this. You know, I'd add a little feather to it. Increase it just a bit, and you get something like that. Maybe take down the feather a bit. But you get the point there. So I like to add something like that to it. And then that is kind of what I like to do in post. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found lots of value from it. If you want to check out more value, go to my paint pack. It's on my website. Go check it out. It's completely free. Go download it and use it. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for watching.